Well, greetings everybody, and welcome to yet another edition of the weekly saga. Well, sort of saga that we call the Inworld Review. This program is focused on looking at arts, places, destinations, and moreover the people on the hypergrid. Now, you want to know what the hypergrid is? Well, you may have heard of virtual worlds like Second Life, that are good old-fashioned worlds that work on your screen, don't need any helmets or anything like that, and but they tend to be walled gardens. So, Open Simulator is another method of building a virtual world, and anybody who creates a platform, be it big, small, or commercial or non-commercial, has the opportunity of switching on something called the hypergrid, which means that you can teleport or jump, as it were, from not only one location to another on the same grid, but you can actually jump across grids and visit, grids all over the place. So we're dealing with a huge, hundreds of thousands of different grids and a land area that, believe it or not, is bigger than 20 years old Second Life. Not quite as many people, but certainly the land area. So this show is all about that. Now, this week we're actually a bit special because we're looking at what I call behind the camera. Obviously, when you're watching this show, you know that we have a camera or two in world filming my spectacular self as an avatar, and the spectacular Thirza avatar, and even James' his own avatar. James is the one who's actually filming it. And so we've got three guests in the studio who do similar things, but maybe in a different style, but particularly, for broadcast camera kind of thing, rather than the fiction authoring thing, which we call machinima. Anyway, I'll get on to that as we move along. First of all, I will introduce who we've got in the studio here. On my right is none other than James Atloud, who is my behind the camera person, or our behind the camera person normally for this show. So welcome, James.
Oh, thanks, Mel. I'm a little nervous because there are all these other filmers here today. So now I hope I press the right buttons. You
Well,
know,
as you know, I've also lumbered you with a questioning job.
that's
So
right.
that'd be even more. That'd be even more fun. That's the one that should make you nervous.
That does make me nervous. Yeah,
Fair
I'm
enough. Fair
shaking.
enough. Okay, and I'm Mal Burns. I forgot to tell you that. I'm in the middle, piggy in the middle, and on my left-hand side is my wonderful co-host, also host of Safari and all sorts of things. Really, Thirza Ember. Welcome, Thirza.
Yeah, thank you, Mom. Yes, it's such an exciting show today. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be great.
I'm looking at your tag that, of course, our viewers can't see. That still says Happy New Year, but we're a fortnight in there, so
Yeah,
you can be
I'm
forgiven.
always behind the times, me.
Right. Now, we'll be coming to them later, but just so you know who's here in the studio with us, before we get to them properly, we have Lifted Pixel, who has a very strange avatar, and I have to admit, her lips do not really quite move. Yes, you can probably
No,
see
not
from the
quite.
camera.
Yeah,
um,
definitely.
yeah. So, welcome, Jessica. Lifted
Thank you.
Pixel is her avatar name, but I'm
Yeah,
going
you
to
can call
try
me
and call
Jessica.
I'm going to try and call you Jessica. Yes.
That's a little easier.
No, definitely got to avoid calling you Twisted Pixel. That's something else.
That's my
Okay.
alternative.
Next in the row there is none other than Petlove Petshop. Now, this is also great because before James became the behind the camera man here, it was Petlove who did that very same job, largely when we were in Second Life, but I think a few times here. So it's sweet old times here, and Petlove's been in Open Sim a little bit more recently doing things. So welcome, Petlove.
Thank you, Mel. It's a pleasure.
And finally, again, I'm reading a name tag that nobody else can see, but apparently he's head of the Bear Clan, whatever the hell that is. He's been basically romancing a number of the animesh we have in the studio, and they're all running off and vanishing into
Oh,
hypergrid
just one.
limbo because of him. Anyway,
Just
his name is
one.
Marcus Llewellyn. Welcome, Marcus.
Hello, Mal. Thank you for having me.
Right. Okay. And yeah, that's it. That's it, so to speak. Now we'll be getting on to the behind the camera topic, as it were, shortly. But first of all, before we have a quick look at Safari in the last week, we're going to hand over to Thurza anyway for the little interlude we call Hypergrid Happenings. So over to you, Thurza.
Yeah, hypergrid happenings once again. So later on today at 6 o'clock Second Life time, I just wanted to remind you all that, of course, over on Wildwood Bayou Grid, they have events during the weekend. So they have DJ Rosie up tonight. I thought she's going to be really spinning some great tunes with that very intense look. She is supposedly going to be playing Pink, Prince, and Adele today specifically. So you get an opportunity to not only sweat and shout, but shake it all about with DJ Rosie. I recommend her. She's great fun over there on Wildwood Biogrid. Just arrived there, and look for Hot Daddy's Club. Something that's coming up on Wednesday is Terra Merrim, who's known all through Open Sim, but also in Second Life. She has her opening on Pangaea Grid. She's got a show that's all about chessmen. It's a kind of another one of her battle scenes. Very apocalyptic, great kind of drama there. She does ask everybody to dress like a chess man or woman. So that could offer some challenges. Anybody got any ideas? What would you go as? Tower?
I'm a huge fan of chess and the art, the use of the chessboard in art. So that picture is very appealing.
What chess piece would you be? What chess piece would you be?
I'd have to be
Any
king.
ideas?
I'd have to be king. Of course I would.
Not the Joker?
Joker.
I don't think Joker. I think it's Pokey you're thinking of.
There's the knight, the knight and the
The
bishop.
knight.
Yeah, can I be the horsey?
The
Can I be
knight,
the
there you
horsey?
go.
Right.
Yeah, that's the knight. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a technical
Is there a
term, isn't it?
bunny?
The
I want to be
Yeah.
a bunny.
A bunny.
I don't think we're really qualified to go to this event.
Anything but the pawn. Anything but the pawn.
I think we've just been disqualified from going to that event. It's that way. Oh dear. But if you don't go to that, you can come on safari with us, which is on around the same time. We're going to two really interesting places. One is Phantom Rose Grid, which is Lenora Science Grid. And she's got a massive place over there. It's this particular region that she wants to show us is her Bayou region. So it's kind of Louisiana theme to it. Very interesting.
Yeah.
And then we're going over to Genesis Grid again to see some more of the Land of Sar, which is apparently we're going to be climbing a mountain, Star was telling me. So that should be really exciting. That, of course, is on Wednesday. It starts at 12 noon Second Life time. And the whole safari lasts about 2 hours, but you could choose to come just the first or second hour if you're not available for the whole time. It's really a lot
They
of fun.
provide bionic legs for that one, I think.
No. In a word, no. But there might be some magic there, so who knows. Another thing that's happening on the same day, on Wednesday, is this lovely mixed music event, which I thought looked like a lot of fun over there on DigiWorlds. It's later on, it's actually 7 p.m. Second Life time, so a little bit later on in the day. So we could all run over there. If you've got your merman outfit, James, Marcus.
I left it at the
No,
office.
nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think I have one in Open Sim.
What
You
grid?
need to get
What's
one,
it? Which
guys.
inventory it's in? I don't know, but I have got
I
one.
just feel like you're missing out on a lot of fun. Of course, that's Trinity does that, Trinity Mason. So that's going to be fun. Here's my last thing, which is the Global Love competition that's happening over on Neverworld Grid. If you haven't heard about it and you're a builder, you really need to get busy. Go over to Neverworld Grid. The sim is called Global Love, really easy to find. And you can claim a spot there. You have to pay 1G for it, but if you don't have any low bits or whatever it is, just ask Vega. She'll give you the points so you can buy your plot and then get building. The idea is to make a multi-level build celebrating love in all its many forms, possibly involving Animesh, I don't know. But the deadline for finishing your build is the 9th of February. And the price you will get is a free region for 1 year if you win. So that should be a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yes, it really is.
Nice.
It's a lovely grid.
And a lovely
so-
theme. A lovely theme too, I
So
think.
at the end of this, that if you have a special event, a project, a party, a competition, a class, or anything like that that you would like us to publicize on this show, well, let us know, and we will feature it in Hypergrid Happenings.
Well, thank you for that, Thirza. Hypergrid happenings. What more could you ask for, really? Okay, well, talking of Safari, which is coming up on Wednesday, as you probably gathered there, we're just going to have a quick look back. Again, Thirza will talk us through this to a great extent. Safari and indeed another item on her blog this week. Just three items here, really. Back in October, we held the second ever Hypergrid International Expo. And we took Safari there this week to just reminisce and have a last look at the bill before we take it all apart and put more booths down for this year. I'm going to hand over to Thirza here, actually, because in sorry, April. Yeah, April 14th, is it? If I got that right, we've got a new one this year, anyway.
Yeah, 19th to the 21st.
Right, close. I was. Yeah.
Oh, it's pretty close.
Yeah, so we'll be.
So really, we were just reviewing the expo booths that were set up for 6-8 months ago now. Just everybody was invited to go back, pick up any freebies they missed out on, which is quite a few of, before we take down all the booths and prepare the park area for the next batch of booths. So anybody who's interested in being included next time, you don't have to be a presenter at the event.
Yeah, just anybody on the Hypergrid can get a booth. While we were there, of course, people were fiddling around with these balls, which are basically, this is Lauren Tone's installation, which utilise sound and stuff. And just by coincidence, that's the place we kind of landed, to start the wander around. Okay, guess who is wearing a hat, and the hat is wearing him, if you see what I mean.
Mm-hmm. My little friend.
Yes, one of our little friends there. And fun size Dinky's World Resort. Yes, gosh golly. OS Expo. This was for OS Grid.
Yeah, there was about 70 altogether booths.
Yeah.
Just about 70.
Actually, I think there were like 98 of them.
It may have felt like it, but I'm pretty sure there was
like
only 70.
Yeah, I think by the end there actually were. I mean, we were almost at the point of moving some booths to the landing area.
had a list.
I think I put like 24 on each sim. So if there were extra ones, that's.
Well, maybe when we're talking later, I will show silently in the background the 12-minute film you did where you actually walked across all three regions.
Yeah, it was. It seemed to work out pretty well. Most people were pretty good at not overloading their booths with too many extras.
Well, we
so it would be fun if we can manage to do it. Yeah,
we laid down the
fairly
law we
texture
did.
heavy, but most people were pretty good. And of course, the next time it's fun if somebody wants to do a booth another time. They have had this experience, and so they can take another shot at making it as efficient as possible, but still with a lot of impact. And there's the one for OSCC with, of course, Beth standing right in front of it, which is nice. And then, of course, from there we went on to see Cherry's show, which is Sky Haze, which is now visitable at any time. We changed the scripts up there so that you can turn it on for yourself and just enjoy the show. And this is the first image of
this
many.
was great. It was a real highlight of the expo. And
I don't know if you guys felt the same, but some of the scenes you think, I don't remember seeing that the first time I watched it. Some of the scenes just like, wow.
Yeah, I know that I see something new every time that I would be there.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so much in the build.
I think it's also not always, sometimes not everything reses, and so when it does res the second time, it maybe happens in a different order. So depending on where you're positioned, your proximity to various.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Yes.
It is, yeah.
Exactly. There's maybe a trick to it. Maybe that's an asset that one can use deliberately, but I don't think it was there.
I'd just like to give a shout out to both Nino, who made the original scripts, and to Snowbody, who managed to rig up the script so that it would work okay, so that if a visitor comes along and they click on the start button and then somebody else comes along and clicks on it again, it doesn't go crazy. So Shout out to the
yes.
scripters there for fixing some issues with those
Wonderful.
reses.
Yes, yeah. We excelled in good scripting help this year, I think, didn't we? Right, now this is another blog from the week. This was the second. This is well, I had it down as Treasure Island in your blog. It's Toots and Treasure, and this was on the Pangea grid, and a nice picture that I must say. Very, just standalone picture is great. Is that Sir Toots? Am I right in thinking?
Yeah, it's incredibly photogenic. I saw on Facebook everybody seems to have taken lots of really nice pictures. Very beautiful region. We did run, I can't lie.
Well,
Quite
so
a running.
did she. That was the
Definitely
problem with
running.
running to catch up with her.
But there was a lot to see, and of course, fun to go back and take a closer look at different features. And she's such a great builder and a prolific builder. Less well known than many, but the quality of her build is just astonishing. Great at landscapes specifically. But she's got some great stuff. We are going to see next season Pippi Longstocking build, which she's working on currently. But she has also, if you're interested in world places, she has a really evocative Vietnam region. Actually, there's 3 regions. And then she has a really good Italian one and a Portuguese build. And of course, several Swedish ones, because she is Swedish. So plenty to see.
Very, it played down very pirate influenced. You see these pirate sims that have been around for a long while. I mean, this is actually Treasure Island, but so much of the the old boats and the buildings and things I've seen on pirate builds before now, or in a similar vein rather. Lighting was very interesting too. I mean, given the guests here today, being camera people, I got a long clip on this because the colours are good, and as we mentioned, our host was running around so fast, and I just I put a camera lock on her, and she basically taught the whole sim at high speed and showed us everything to see. And what was fascinating is while we were going along, this sort of I think of it like face light color. I don't know how it was rigged, but every few frames she'd turn a corner and the lighting on her face would completely turn different. Sorry, I just must turn the thingy here.
Do you have photos of Captain Sparrow, Thirza?
Actually, I never found him, to be honest. I'm pretty sure that Tosha had kidnapped him at some point, and while my back was turned,
she took him away.
He had been, he had been removed. Yeah. I stupidly got in a boat with Forrest, and she started rowing me around the harbor.
Okay,
I think that's when the damage was done.
It could be.
But definitely, anybody who has the opportunity should go because it's so beautiful. And you could really imagine somebody making a machinima or over there and just really making, I mean, why not use these wonderful resources we have?
Yeah.
When I saw that first picture, the first word that came to mind was cinematic.
Yeah, exactly.
It's another one.
Very beautiful. And she's such a nice lady.
Again, it's in this lovely lighting, and the torch is sort of really enhances the picture of her. So. Cinematic, as you say. Moving on.
And rock solid too. That's the other thing to notice because she asked me how many we were, and I think I said 13. So they decided on the basis of that the whole group would join us, I guess. So there was like 5 or 6 of them, and then it turned out we weren't 13. We were more like 17 or more.
Yeah, good group.
But I didn't notice the region having any reaction at all. I mean, all rest immediately. I mean, I don't know about you guys.
It was
and
really
that, of course,
smooth.
means a lot when
Every
you're
time
doing
she
filming. You really want it to rest.
Right.
You don't want to be standing there for an hour waiting for buildings to show up.
Right. That was brilliant.
Yeah, there was no problem at all. Every time she turned a corner, the camera just followed smoothly. So, yeah, very good. That's a nice picture too. Maybe less.
That's beautiful.
The clouds,
really
I think,
is.
make that one, especially, don't they? And the lighting.
And I recommend going to see the Vietnam. Also, it's so pretty. She's just got an eye for landscapes. Fantastic stuff.
Ah, and
Oh,
you've
there
been
you
taken
go.
for a ride there, I do believe. I think that's you, and being rowed by somebody else.
Forest.
Oh, that's what. Okay. My eyesight's no good for anything these days. There we are. No.
There's a Captain Sparrow's on that boat on the right.
Oh, is he?
Oh,
I
yeah.
was just
So-
mesmerized by
yeah.
Forrest's dress, I think. I didn't know where to look.
Right.
I wouldn't mind grabbing a. What is it? An animesh of Captain Sparrow.
Yeah.
Right. Oh yeah, no, they even had a welcome set up for us.
That, of course, is the tricky thing. If you organizing an event like this and you're trying also to take gifts in this case or pictures, just getting people to all face in a meaningful way can be tricky, and especially if you have a host who's a little bit on the nervous side, who's making us move very quickly, and that can make it a real challenge to get the pictures that you want and the filming. So that's why I really admire what Jessica does when she comes on safari with us and she films it, and I'm like, good Lord.
Yeah.
And often I'll watch it when
so
she's
much.
filmed it, and I think the things I missed myself during the trip that you pick
It
up
is
on those
fun.
films. So I really appreciate that, Jess.
I'll
And the people like me
definitely
are
be
actually
doing some
hanging
more
out in
of
the
it.
sky, sky filming at random there, so, because it's very hard work doing what Jessica does, and that is
It's fun to
the
just
follow thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun to watch all the little avatars go here, there,
And
and film
everywhere.
them while they're doing it. It's a pleasure of mine. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, well, we're moving on to the final post of Thursdays this week. Nothing nicer than Ricer. I guess that's meant to be, if it rhymes.
I
or
see.
if it-
That's why there's an Akira class
There's
Federation
a
starship in the
starship.
sky.
There's
Yeah.
a starship lurking, a very low flying starship by the look of it. But
And no, I was shocked that you guys all missed this because yesterday was an incredible event. It was over there on our Destiny grid, and these builds are all made by Stormy Scorpio, who not only does she build the ships, but she makes these wonderful landscapes as well. This one, I think, is at 7,000 meters or something. So there's a whole bunch of different layers on this grid, and this was a Star Trek themed party, and there I am dancing with Lieutenant Worf. And that's Moses, who is Stormy's husband, and he's a singer-songwriter. And so he did a concert for us in this beautiful, absolutely gorgeous sim. Again, you can really imagine somebody making machinima here. Didn't have to be Star Trek themed. It's just such a gorgeous place.
just choose the right place.
Um,
We had Moses
just
on the show,
amazing
I'm sure,
stuff.
didn't we? For quite a while ago now, we had him on, I think, with his music. Oh, that's a nice contrast between the dark and the lit bits there, isn't it? And the obligatory dancing, of course.
Incredibly
Oh, and there's,
atmospheric. Yeah.
there's the not necessarily the Enterprise, but it's definitely one with
No,
a
no,
saucer.
no. It's a different class.
Well, you would, yes. Okay.
Yeah, that's the Akira class. Quite a powerful ship. Right.
Okay, I should have shut up.
Very
All I
nice.
know, it looks a bit like the Enterprise because it's got the saucer thing. That's
Right,
all I
right.
know.
Well, you learn something every day, right?
Yeah, well, James is a Trekkie.
Oh, cool.
He goes to
But again, it just really highlights, and when you think of Star Trek, you tend to think of, of course, Joe Builder did a lot of Star Trek style
Yes, he
stuff,
did.
Right.
and you think obviously of Third Rock Grade, of course, the colony over there, Starfleet Infinity. But
Yep.
then we have also, the amount of resources that are out there available with really, really good high frame rates and very amenable people who just make these wonderful scenery. It's not just all in space, Star Trek. So much of it is on the planet's surface. And she really has brought that skill to bear on several really lovely sims. That's Stormy Scorpio, great worker.
Okay, well, I think it's now time to move into our behind the camera sort of special feature, so to speak. We've been talking about it a bit already. As I said, we have Jessica Pixel here, we have Petlove Petshop, and we have Marcus Llewellyn. Plus, we have our very own James Atloud, who in a few minutes is going to actually be asking some questions. But I thought to, I've got each of the people here have provided me with something quite short, and I thought we could show these before we move into the questions. These will be with sound, and just to give you an idea of the sound. Well, in the first one here I've got is Pet Love, and it's one style amongst many. We will hopefully see a couple of others later, but I've chosen some very short ones to the beginning. So this is from Pet Love, and it's only about a minute and a half, and it's called The Date. So enjoy this. Well, I'd never seen that before, but it is very, very cute.
It's so cute.
It doesn't get much sappier.
Definitely partial to the avatars.
That
Yeah.
was just for Valentine's Day, was it? Sort of.
It was. I'll tell you, it was not pre-planned at all. I like found the avatars, and I just started putting it together, and I wrote a long poem at the end. It was like, boom. It was really funny, but I enjoy it. I like the music in it too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
the
great.
music's very catchy.
Mhm.
Okay, well, my next one is simply called What? And this piece is again just a little novelty piece, really. I think I'm safe in saying from Jessica. So let's have a look at this one. Another cute one, Jessica. Lovely. Well,
Yeah.
what was the thinking behind that one?
So one of the things I like to do in Open Sim is just mess around and
Yeah.
just make weird little scenes and kind of, I call it a sketch, for lack of a better term, but I like to make little sketches in OpenSim.
It was thought-provoking.
Yeah. Yep. I love it.
Hmm.
Okay, well, next up, we've got a little contribution from Marcus. And this actually is filmed in another, well, we know quite well here, or I do anyway, high fidelity. It's no longer around, or except as an audio thing, but it was started by Philip Rosedale, in fact, as a updated sort of virtual world, but it didn't get the traction really. And Philip also decided he didn't like headsets anymore. So, but this is curious. 2019, there's something called a fart fest. Yes, look at the sign there. I can read, so I didn't invent that. Okay, let's have a look at it and then ask Marcus about it.
Hello, sir. May I inquire about where the Fart Fest is? Oh, excuse me, kind sir. Where would I find the Fart Fest? Oh, thank you, kind sir.
Well, the message sign says Fart Fest after the film fest because
It was.
You can tell us, Marcus, what was your thinking there? It was part of the film fest thing they held, wasn't it?
Yeah, this was Kenneth Rigaud over on High Fidelity. This was a user film fest, and Kenneth Rigaud was hosting it. And the reason why I chose this one was, I mean, it's hard for most people to understand if you don't know what's going on, I think.
Oh yeah.
But basically, this was Fluffy, Jenkins, and Big Ten. And Fluffy in particular wanted to show off the fact that the Valve Index controllers with the finger controls were brand new at that point, and he was the first person to do that in high fidelity. So he just wanted to make kind of a little video, but they didn't know how to shoot anything or edit anything. And so they approached me literally as the festival was starting and said, "Hey, can you help us with this?" So in about half an hour, I managed to get them, shot and directed and edited it together. And it's kind of an in-joke, I think, for the High Fidelians, but
I could tell, I could tell that it wasn't filmed in a 3D helmet, but it was near the end there. I saw the way the fingers were moving, and it sort of reminded me of the different expression that you would get in VR, because of course in High Fidelity, the 2D screen you saw did have facets of the 3D world, the helmet world in it, in terms of animations and things, which makes quite a big difference on screen. Okay, well, I'm going to move on now to I did Jessica, then Marcus. Right, Very own James. This one is a little bit longer, and I've never seen this before, and it fascinated me when I found it. So this is an example of James doing something that isn't quite the same as being behind the camera on this show, and it was quite a long while ago. I'm going to play it before James just gives us a little catch up on what it's about, but it's called Culture Collision in Cairo, the market.
Oh, hi Jane. Hi. How are you? Oh, great. Yeah, thanks for ringing. It's it's great to hear from you. Yeah. What's happening here? Well, not well. Actually, something is happening. My brother's coming to see me. Yeah, he's coming out to Egypt. He wants to visit his little sister. And I remember telling you about him. He's the lawyer, the really successful lawyer back home, and he's got loads of money, and he loves collecting. Actually, he loves collecting things from all around the world. He has holidays everywhere. Always brings back something really, really nice, but really expensive. And so he's coming out to Egypt, and I'm sure he's going to love the market. He's going to want to buy loads of stuff. But I'm going to have to talk to him before we go out, because he won't have a thing about bartering. I can see him really, really making a fool of himself. So that should be quite fun, having him around, and just as long as I can keep him in check when he goes out splashing his cash about. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. So I'll be a bit busy with him for a few weeks, but when he's gone back, yeah, we'll catch up sometime. Okay, yeah, great, that'll be good. Okay, see you then. Bye. Hey, I know you're excited to go shopping, but I think we should talk first.
Talk? Talk about what?
Well, in Egypt, the price you hear for something is not its real price. You should always immediately suggest a lower price, a much lower price.
Oh, but really, I don't mind paying the full price. I'm not financially challenged. I am a very rich lawyer.
It's not a question of paying the full price
Oh
or
my.
how much money you have. It's about paying a fair price. You're a tourist here, and Egyptians think that all tourists are rich. So the price you will hear is going to be way above the value of what you're trying to buy. But also, even if you weren't a tourist here, the first price you'll hear is way above the value of what you're trying to buy anyway. That's the way business is done here.
Prices aren't fixed?
No, absolutely not. In fact, if you pay the full price for anything, everyone will think you're stupid.
Well, I'm definitely not stupid.
If you
Acting.
want that
Is that enough, Mel?
you do bartering.
We can stop now.
I've been in Egypt a long time now.
I kind of
and
want
I
to
know how
see
it works.
what
Wow.
happens when he ends
Alright.
up
Stop making him
Uh-huh.
bidding
suffer.
here.
Okay, if you say so. It's your choice, but I think you'll be sorry.
No way. I'll
I
be
do
a
kind of
natural.
want to know what happens at the end.
Okay,
Okay.
but try to be confident and quick, okay?
Okay. Okay.
A bit for work, no?
Yeah. How much is it?
Oh, for this rack, so a bit for work, 200 Egyptian pounds.
300.
Oh,
Ah, typical.
Okay, no, that was worth seeing
Okay,
at the end.
James,
All right.
I appreciate that is quite old. You could tell by the avatars and everything else. But Machini, but what was that? That's 10 years old, isn't it? So
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's 10 years old, and that was I've been working with doing experiential learning for a place called English City in Second Life, but then this is another group, and I can't draw the names. It's someone who has been active in Open Simulator and Second Life and Virtual Worlds best practices. But anyway, I volunteered, and so we worked with international speakers to create videos about language and language problems. So that was our project, and gracious, it was a lot of editing and collecting media resources, but really good fun.
Yeah, and it had a little story to it.
Yep. And there's
You could
nothing.
sort of see it coming, to be honest, but it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
funny when it did, you know.
And there's nothing to like learning language to speak it when you're acting.
Yeah, yeah, well, exactly. And it's I used to learn most of what little French I can still remember from bande dessinée comic strips. You know, it's
Oh,
just
sure.
you find your own way. You know, the word balloon was in a foreign language, so I had to guess what it was, and the more you do it, the more you pick it up. So
Yeah.
same with acting, I guess. Okay, well, since you are now on the mic, so to speak, James, um, I know that it was originally, I think, your idea to interview Marcus, or at least have this sort of theme to the show. So I know that you've got some what you might call pre-prepared questions. You know what I'm like; I'm just ad lib. But you've got some questions that you want to put to our guests as a group, so to speak. And then after that, we'll look at some slides and then open up the chat a bit. So let me leave it with you to ask the questions for now, and I and Thirza can butt in, of course, because
Yeah.
it's our show. But you know, we'll leave it to you for now.
That sounds fine. Yeah. So the first question I shared with everyone was just to get a sense, how did you get started doing filming in virtual worlds? And you can see my start. I was actually came from education, and I wound up at English City, and I did a television show for them, a news broadcast, a game show, a whole bunch of things, and we filmed it so that the students could look back on the things that they did, and that's kind of what got me going in all this. But anyone want to offer their origin story, so to speak?
Sure, and that was a virtual classroom or like real life classroom filming?
Virtual. It was both. All
Okay,
of those
cool.
were Second Life. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, neat. But as far as like video making, I have been streaming as long as streaming has been a thing for regular people.
Mm-hmm.
I've been on live streaming since before, when Twitch was just in TV. Um, I used to
Wow.
just do webcam streams and, stuff like that. But then as I got into Second Life, as then I got into OpenSim, then I started using those platforms to do little things. Mostly just live streaming though. It's the kind of stuff I do. Um, and then I got into the Safari, found Safari, and then that's a good source of live streaming content. Um, just because it's different every week as long as you mute the audio, because the radio very often is going to play something copyrighted. But yeah, that's how I got started, and I see what somebody's doing online, and I have to know how to do it. So I saw people live streaming, and it's like I got to learn how to do that.
Oh yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. How about Marcus or Petlove?
Go ahead, Marcus.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I never, I mean, for me, streaming, I knew it was a thing, but I didn't think I was interested in it. And then back in 2014, the Open Simulator Community Conference was going, and they needed volunteers, and one of the things they needed volunteers for badly was streaming. And I had never streamed before, and Nabadana Azumi had approached me, and he said, "Look, I know you're kind of a technical guy. You can probably get up to speed with this. Would you please help us out?" And I'm like, "Okay, sure." And this was like 3 days before the conference, so I had 3 days to learn how to use the streaming software, all that fun stuff. And ever since then, I've been kind of doing that.
And you've
Pretty
gotten very
intense.
good at it too.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you.
Oh yeah.
Okay, well,
Is it my turn?
All right, Pet.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And I already told you, James, but as soon as I saw a Second Life video and realized that you could film stories, you could make your own, stories and movies and about anything you wanted. And I just I wanted to tell stories, and I've got a lot of bizarre stories. I went and got to work with a lot of amazing people. You remember Safia Malburns, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Safia Wittershin, so she was like my mentor. She saw me with a camera, and she needed a camera, and so she put me to work, and it worked out really well for both of us. So I learned with some of the best people what I learned. I was just lucky, and I really enjoy it. It's a creative outlet, which I desperately needed. That's what Second Life did for me. And the machinima was just the cherry on top. It was great.
Wonderful.
Yeah, how fun.
Yeah.
Next question.
Next question. All right.
I interrupted, didn't I? Sorry.
Yeah, well, it's just interesting comparing the different ways that it in some ways we kind of happened into it, and I'm not sure any of us were directed to do this, but boy, it's what happens in virtual worlds. You meet people, and opportunities show up. It's I guess one of the things I really like about this whole experience.
Yeah.
So I had a couple questions here about hardware and software. We could maybe save that for later. But I think in relevance,
actually, if we
okay.
if we want, we could take an interlude now because it's quite a short slideshow, and
Okay.
I was wondering when we would run it, so maybe we do that now.
Yeah, the questions are basically like, here's my kit. When I've worked with people in other projects, especially technical projects, we've got to share our kit. If it's hi-fi audio or whatever, we got to talk about that.
Yeah, everyone likes to flex what they got in their machine.
Right.
So let's have a look at the desktops that you each have, maybe. I think Petlove is the first one, isn't it, Thirza?
It should be. It's the simplest one. Simple-minded.
I think, I've put it on anyway. I think Thirza maybe AFK briefly. There we are. Oh, whoops. No, that's James's. That's and that's Jessica's. Okay, let's hang on a second. I'll just flip back there so that you can talk about it a bit. Okay, that's yours, Pet. Any comments about it? How you work with that, or what?
It's very super basic. It's the Flycam is the most sophisticated piece of equipment I have.
Oh, I see it. Yep.
Is advanced. The computer was homemade by somebody that I found on the internet, and the price was right. I've had it about 5 years and changed different parts of it in and out over the years. I think it's got a half-dead fan on it right now, which I think is messing up the power supply. So I might be on the road to the what do you call it? Anyway, to get new innards for it. But that's okay. It's still cheaper than getting a whole new computer. The desk I got in a church, what do you call it, parking lot sale. It was the most beautiful desk I've ever seen.
Boot sale, we call them, boot sale.
I love it. And that's really about it. I've got a little box for my junk. I can keep it all in one place.
I like its label, junk box top. Yep.
Yeah,
it is. It's a very uncluttered desk, considering you've got 2 monitors, of course, and the keyboard. But
I tend to be uncluttered. Some people, dare to use the word anal with me, but I'm just actually a very neat person.
Is that a screen attached to the big one, or is that a TV in the distance?
Say again?
It looks like a sort of iPad attached to one of the screens. Or
no, that's the TV. That's just a TV.
Yeah, that's just the distance. Yeah, it's all a matter of perspective, there, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. I don't know why the guy's face is orange, but what are you going to do?
What are you going to do, indeed? Okay, moving on to James's. So now you've neatly labelled all these. I don't know how easy they are to read.
Oh, they're not readable.
That's actually remarkable.
Oh yeah, they are readable. They're great.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah.
That's also remarkably uncluttered. There's just a lot of it, and like me, you've got the musical keyboard at the side. I see. Tell us, James. Tell us about your desktop briefly before we move on to your other.
Oh, it's where I spend all my time. You see, I've got my work laptop there on the left side of the desk, and I keep that closed most of the time. And then what you see on the 2 screens, that's what I'm doing right now. You can see I've got Open Broadcaster on the left screen beneath the webcam, and then the Discord conversation is below that, and then to the right is Firestorm, which is the area I'm recording from. And this is like a real-time view of what's happening. And,
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know, to all 3 of you, really, how much, when you started out, how many different new bits of software did you have to download? Did you have to learn new tools? Are you big on learning about tools, or do you kind of always stick to the old faithfuls? How's that working out?
Good question.
Oh,
I
Yeah,
like
maybe
new
start with the
things.
Mark. We'll start with Petlove there. What do you think?
I think that's a really good question, and I think it's indicative of whoever's personality. You know, I mean, for me, it was get the computer first, then the fly cam sounded great, and that has been wonderful. Two screens made everything easier. That you know, it started out with one, and it's hard to cram all that stuff onto one screen.
Yeah.
You know, it's wonderful to have two, and some people even have three
yeah.
or four big ones.
What
But
about you, Jessica? You a big software person? Are you
Oh,
always with the latest tool?
yes. With, I mean, first off, everyone's got OBS. And I also feel like everyone's maybe went and tried something else and then was like, you know what, forget it, and just went back to OBS.
Yes.
Yeah, yep.
But since
Do
I
you?
primarily do VTubing, there's like 3 or 4 softwares that are running at any time that are doing various parts of capture, and that motion and that kind of stuff. And then you got to keep up on what tools are coming out that somebody can use to make more interactivity, make a
Yeah.
different effect. So you got to
Is
keep
it this?
your eyes out.
I'm
Right.
I'm always the first to, I'm always on the lookout for new gadgets, basically on the idea that they'll hopefully replace something and make it easier. And Thirza hinted at it there, but I mean, for example, obviously for streaming, there's not really any competition to OBS. There is, Minicam can do it actually, but OBS is the preferred one. But oddly enough, I don't use OBS for offline recording. It's obviously ideal for streaming, but I've got other different camera software that I will load up when we're on Safari, for example. I'll just, go into a camera mode and I'll be flying around and getting long shots while everybody else is walking around talking. The opposite, in fact, of what you do, Jessica. Just that I got silent footage to run on the show here behind us.
Yeah.
But I use
That's
different
right.
software for that because I've got other software that works better for that. It doesn't need to be streaming, if you see what I mean. So I'm curious.
How
I'm
about you,
curious.
Marcus?
Yeah.
How about Marcus? Are you an experimenter in software, or do you just kind of stick to what has always worked for you?
When it comes to the video software, I've for the actually capturing video, OBS just wins every time. It's not that there aren't other things out there, and even some that can do things a little bit better. Like, I'm not going to remember the name of the software, but there's a piece of commercial software out there that I tried, and it was fine. It was great, and it even had some features that OBS didn't. But OBS has really, really just been out competing everybody else when it comes to adding new features and all that kind of stuff. And it's really, you can tell it's a passion project. It's a very active open source project.
Yep.
And so that's part of what keeps me coming back to that one.
There are some
And I'm curious to know one thing about James is because I know James, you work with you've worked with all these guys recently in the last few months, obviously. Do you guys share? So I've tried this and I really like it, or is it something that people do share, or do you think it's too subjective? Everybody has their own tastes when it comes to software. How does that work out?
Well, I say I'm strongly on the sharing side. If it weren't for other people to talk about this work, I don't think I'd get much done at all.
Yeah, I agree, and I think sharing is really important. And I mean, it doesn't feel, at least, like that long ago when OBS was not a well-known piece of software. And I really went on a little crusade to kind of evangelize for it. I did presentations about it on a hypergrid Safari. I did a whole presentation on OBS that was many years ago, and I've done other ones on Second Life for Nonprofit Commons. I've done kind of little mini videos for my volunteers over at OSCC who help me stream, who are all awesome. And now these days, though, OBS is pretty much king of the hill. So you just open up a YouTube video and like how to use OBS, and there it is.
Right.
Do you think it's also because it's open, it's open source, that means a lot to you? Or is it just that it's good and that's all there is to it?
I
Open
can
source
say- well-
also means that it's free, and I'm
Yeah.
not paying. Lots of
Yeah, free
my
helps.
hobby.
Yeah.
I
Always nice.
noticed quite big differences between the version on the Mac and the version on Windows, and I wondered,
Oh, really?
do any of you have a preferred platform OS wise, like Windows, Linux, or Mac?
Well, personally, I switch between both Windows and Linux.
Right.
They both
And
have their
OBS works
place,
well on both.
Yeah.
but I gotta use Windows because all those, like those 4 and 5, the number is growing. The number of
Yeah.
little softwares that I have to run
Yeah.
pretty much only work on
Yeah.
Windows.
Yep.
And I
Me too.
think a lot of the OBS plugins tend to be Windows. Like there's a plugin that does the lower thirds for you, and that only works on the Windows version, for example. So, there are things there. Okay, James, more questions, I think, before we run out of time at this.
Well, we're
right?
just about out of time, and it's easy to talk about software, hardware, and all of that. But my question I'm really interested in is how do you think people view the projects we create or you create? How do you think they take it in and appreciate it? And I'm sorry, someone's turned music on above me, so sorry.
It's okay, it's faint.
Okay.
I can start that if you want.
Yeah.
Originally, I had a great tightly knit group of friends that I hung around with. We all hung around all the time, and when I started filming, it was with them. It was I made films of them, of stuff we were doing, and we did a few organized projects together for film, and they loved every second of it. They loved being part of it. We all did. We loved working together and sharing everything. We solved problems together, so on and so forth. So, and then I found myself working with groups of people. It was strange after like 6 or 7 years to work independently to me, because I was always working with people one way or the other. And I like it both ways, but I think it's richer and more dynamic when you work with a group of friends or a group, of like-minded people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, Marcus, Jessica.
Well, I like to, since like I'm mostly doing live streams, I like to think that I am creating like a chill environment for people to, just hang out. I also want to try and demystify the whole VTubing thing and streaming and all of that, the same way that I see someone online doing something and I want to learn how to do it. I also want to be a place where if somebody sees me doing something, I'll help them find out how to do it. Like, I'm not here to gatekeep this information, because
That's cool.
more people
Yeah.
being able to express themselves in the metaverse how they want to doesn't take away from me being able to do that.
Right. Mhm.
So my main
That's
thing
cool.
is just being chill, where, a lot of VTubers these days are very hyper and screaming. I
That
hope
was
to be
my
like
idea. Yeah.
somebody can, on your way home from work, your day after work, before you go to work, you're just kind of something to look forward to hang out and chill. But
Yeah.
that's what I hope that people are getting out of that. At least my regular deal, which is the mostly daily live streams.
Cool.
Which
Wow.
I stream
it
like
me?
6 hours. I stream like 6 hours every day on 1/7 Live.
Oh, wow.
Wow,
Mhm.
It's one of
that's a
those
lot.
funny little app platforms,
Sure.
that you see the ads for. Come and hang out with live streamers. Yeah,
Yeah.
I VLiver
Cool.
on that sort of platform. I'll send you my link.
Is Mal
Yeah.
standing on Petlove's desk? Sorry, but
It's great, isn't it?
Oh,
I've been
having
taking
it on my
pictures.
screen.
I'm trying to frame it up. The perspective is
Please
like
take a
really
picture of that,
interesting.
somebody.
That was
I'm,
really good.
You need to
I'm
be live
standing.
streaming that.
I'm standing. I must have jumped when I was camping. Oh God!
Oh, now, Mal, you can
Sorry,
admit
Jess,
it.
to
You're doing
interrupt
that
you,
on
but I was just
purpose.
so upset. That's
No,
my
I'm
standing
intrigued.
Really
image.
shrunk
I'm
them out.
intrigued as to
Get
how
off my
you could.
desk, Mal. Come on now. I'm
He
kidding.
looks
Yeah,
like
I
he's
don't know
right
how I
in your
got.
house now,
How
Petlove.
did I get
I
into
would
that
be
exact
concerned if
position?
Just stay. Don't move. We all have to take pictures now.
Yes, yeah, do. I'm curious. I'm
bizarre.
curious myself. I don't know how I got into that exact perfect position. I'm
I'm
just.
calling mine Mal on my desk. Could you turn around and face the other direction, please?
He'd probably fall
I'll
off if he
probably
does
fall
that,
down.
though.
Oh no, it works. Yeah.
And
Keep
James
going.
is lost. What are you looking at?
I have
See,
no
We're
that's-
looking
idea
at
what happened
we're
there.
looking at Pet's desktop.
No, another
Oh,
45
okay.
degrees, Mal. Look towards the lamp.
Yeah.
Oh,
Look
Now
to
you've
the
got a lot
left.
of filter
Little more,
directions
little more,
in the
please.
room here.
Come on, keep
I'm
going.
going to give you a lot of
I'm
instructions.
rotating myself out of my own camera. I can't see where
That's
I am
good.
anymore.
That'll do it.
Mal, you have to now emote. Can you emote? That's it. Can you pose? You need
Well, I've got an emote on the HUD
hit
actually.
your
haven't
mark and say your line.
I'll just put.
Can you sit or lie down?
Oh,
Oh,
there
darn.
it goes.
Okay, it couldn't last. I don't know how I got into that position.
Could you
That
splat
said,
like a
could we-
bug
I
on
would-
the
I would
lens?
just love to run through the pictures that Jessica brought with us
Yes,
on
I was
that
just
screen.
about to say because we've done all the desktops there.
There
So
we go.
yeah, very good.
Oh
What's
well,
that?
I just brought a picture of like exploring the metaverse and kind of how my avatar looks when standing, because I wasn't really sure what the sitting animations were going to be like.
Mm.
So that way you could get an idea of what I'm actually supposed to look like. But not the pictures really aren't anything in particular.
Okay.
Just
That's pretty
of
cool. That.
I have a region. It's in cold storage at the moment because I'm not hosting it, but probably this year it'll be back. But most of the content that I do that's OpenSim related is definitely Hypergrid Safari related.
Yeah, I see the
'cause it's a-
calendars.
Yes.
That's
it's
so
a-
nice.
So have we got any more?
And this
any
one's so
more-
cool. Is this your island? Is this
Yes,
one your
that's what it
island?
looks
Oh,
like.
that's cool. Oh.
From the top. But the yeah, so and then the last picture I have is
Good
just
stuff,
of my
lovely.
VTuber and
Yes, that's
what
a
I
nice,
look like
a nice
when
logo
I,
thing. Yeah, there we are. Yeah.
when I do my live streams every day.
Oh, you are using
check me out.
VTuber software. Okay.
Yeah, I'm using
Yeah,
all kinds
cool.
of stuff, and you're welcome to ask me all kinds of questions later. But yeah, check me out, liftedpixel.net for my schedule and links and all that. So
Oh, excellent.
Great, absolutely. So, James, any more of the preloaded questions, to use the expression?
Only one question I'd say is, and that's, does anyone have any opinions on, is there any kind of an exciting future for video, for making streaming like this? Are we at steady state, or do you think there's something new on the horizon?
I think there will always be a space for it because somebody's going to be passionate about something they're doing and they'll find other people who like it. You know, people aren't static, and this is a really good
good
medium. Mm.
Yeah, and everybody has their niche, right?
If they find it, yeah, if they're
Yeah,
lucky
yeah.
enough to find it, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, for me, my niche has just been like, I just really do enjoy conferences, which I never would have suspected. And
I'm not
that's the majority
surprised.
of what I do. I mean, there's the Open Simulator Community Conference. There's a couple of Virtual Ability over in Second Life. They do 2 conferences every year, and I absolutely enjoy. I mean, I really love doing their thing. And then, random things pop up. Like I did a thing with the Peel Museum in Boston recently. And for me, it's all about being a fly on the wall. And I just love documenting, basically, what these other people are doing and getting it out there because I think it's so awesome.
Yeah, it is. You're right.
I'll second
But don't
that.
you also love the performance, like being on time and doing something right, like constantly, and knowing that it's all going smoothly? Like the dynamic of what you do
That's
is
a good way
attractive to
put
me
it.
because I used to do that. I used to do stage shows with when I was little, and I used to be the one running around helping people. Look, find their hat or sew up their hem that got wrecked, and I would fix things, and make it work, and it was really exciting.
No, that
So
sounds awesome.
that sounds like I'm relating to James from that perspective. It's fun. Sorry.
For me, it's fun
Okay, well, one
afterwards.
thing, well, jumping a
Afterwards,
little
done.
ahead a bit because we've got about 15 minutes left, I think, or something. Where does the time go, I ask? One person who also has occasionally done filming, which we haven't seen, most of you know that I play around with it and we show it on, in the background many weeks, so I won't show you any of mine. But so it's slightly low resolution for reasons to do with the screen size, but this is the one that Thirza filmed. It's not one of her gifts. It's an actual film for Cornflakes Week, and as well as we'll have a look at it. Well, actually, it's silent, I think, isn't it, Thirza? Or is it? I
Yeah,
can't
it just
remember.
has a little music behind
Yeah,
it. This
so
one.
you can sort of talk over it a bit because there is some other news you were going to tell us about Cornflakes Week too, isn't there? A project.
Yes, of course, that's coming up. In the end of February. It's the last week of February. The idea of Cornflakes Week is that, unlike most events that happen in Open Sim, where they're kind of very much linked to real world events, like Christmas or Thanksgiving, or whether it's the winter holidays or the summer holidays. And this is the idea of this is that it's disconnected from the real world. It's just a virtual world thing. So over the years, different grids have done it. As many as 11 different grids have held parties in different places. And this just shows the event that we had last year, which was on Pangea grid. And then we went over to Weekstropia as well, and which I think you can see now in this part of the film. So
Yeah,
that's Lala, her wonderful musical instrument. And so these are just bits of movie that I was able to film as the safari was happening. So I can relate to Jessica in trying to film it while the event is happening and never
Yeah.
knowing what's going to happen next, really, and people
Gotta
IMing
keep
you
your
the
eye out.
whole time.
That's neat. That is. That's
and
really neat.
and saying, "Are you coming to the next place?" and so forth. And then, of course, this last part of the video is the OS Grid always do a Cornflakes Week, and they have several parties. So, of course, that gives you the opportunity to really get around and have multiple opportunities to film the same area, but with different people and different lighting effects happening according to who's singing. So it's just a little bit of fun, and just to remember what happened last year. So that's just
Yeah.
that's all it is. Just
You're a documentarian.
everybody collapsing at the end of the day.
That's right.
So we're all into this documentation thing, really. It's,
Well,
that's the beauty of the.
it's a pretty. As I was
You
saying, it's
get
pretty common. If you look around at people, obviously also in Second Life, but Open Sim people, most of them, if you look on YouTube, you'll find they have a channel and they
Yeah.
film their own sim or they film events that they go to. So it's incredibly common that people do that, but it's not everybody has the opportunity to feel like they're part of a community where they can share knowledge and share information about what's the best way to do different things. So it would be wonderful if in Open Sim, specifically for Open Sim, where we have this fantastic frame rate most of the time and so many beautiful places to see, it would be great if there was more people maybe offering a class or a chat group where people could come and get a bit of information, support, and share their work as well.
I didn't bring the clip because it's a bit irrelevant to us. But in Second Life, they have this directors group or something now, and there's actually videos advertising the directors group or whatever it is. Maybe I should have shown it, but not. Well, your clip of Cornwaits was done on a small screen, so the resolution is quite low. Now, and you also asked a question of new things coming along. Now, this little film I'm going to show now is about 3 minutes only. A bit tutorially, really, but this has come from Second Life, a Second Life film, in fact, and it shows how you can enhance machinima, i.e., well, enhance as opposed to edit, but I mean it's part of editing, using some of the new AI tools like Stable Diffusion. And well, I'll play it first, and I'm going to ask for some comments on this. So let's have a look. It would help if I put the volume back on, wouldn't it?
Footage. When filming in busy areas or using advanced graphics features, you may experience a low frame rate. But don't worry, I'll show you how to improve it using AI tools. For this tutorial, I utilized Stable Diffusion with the user-friendly Comfy UI interface, which is both locally installed and free to use. Now let's talk about frame interpolation. This process involves creating new frames between the existing ones by predicting the movement of objects in the video. By doing so, we can effectively double the frame rate by adding a new frame between every 2 captured frames. And if we create 3 interpolated frames, we can multiply the frame rate by 4. Another technique we'll explore is upscaling. This method allows us to increase the resolution of our footage using AI technology. By identifying lines and shapes, the AI enhances the image quality at a higher resolution. In this example, with a still background, the sequence was captured in Second Life at a disappointing 15 FPS and HD resolution, 1920 by 1080. To demonstrate the improvements, I've slowed down small areas of the footage by 30 times. By interpolating frame images, we can achieve smoother playback at 30 FPS and even 60 FPS. Additionally, I've upscaled the resolution from 1920 by 1080 to a stunning 3840 by 2160. Take a look at the result, a smooth 60 FPS and 4K resolution. Now let's move on to another sequence captured at 15 FPS with HD resolution. This time the camera is in motion, adding an extra challenge. However, both interpolation and upscaling techniques work equally well in this scenario. If you're interested in trying out Stable Diffusion with Comfy UI, you can find the installation link in the video description. Additionally, there are plenty of helpful tutorials on YouTube that cover this topic in detail. To achieve these improvements, here are the basic steps I used. 1. Separate the machinima video into individual frame images using software like Blender. 2. Load the images into Comfy UI. 3. Create interpolated frame images using the Comfy UI frame interpolation custom nodes, Film VFI. 4. Upscale the final frames using the 4x Ultra Sharp model. I then downscale it to achieve a 2x upscale, converting HD to 4K. 5. Save the final image frames. 6. Finally, recombine the images into your video using software like Blender. Keep in mind that the processing time for this can vary depending on your computer's power and the length of your video. It may be necessary to work in smaller batches of frames to avoid memory limitations. If you enjoyed this content, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. Your support means a lot to me.
Okay, right. So some thoughts that have. First of all, I'll just ask if either of you, any of you, rather, have actually tried anything like this or gone into this sort of stuff before.
No, not me.
A little bit.
I was thinking Marcus might say that. Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to try everything. Yeah, a little bit. Not quite what she was doing there, which is very cool. And you're starting to see stuff like that come into professional software. We're already seeing AI in Photoshop, and I don't think if it isn't already, it won't be long until you start seeing things like that in Adobe Premiere or Adobe After Effects as well.
Yeah, my video editor has AI in it already.
Yeah, it's becoming quite prevalent, and in some cases extremely powerful and kind of mind-blowing. I mean, I've seen people literally replace entire backgrounds. Like they'll have a person on a tennis court running around, and then suddenly they're still the person playing is still there, but then they'll replace the entire tennis court and everything else with like a beach or something, and it looks absolutely fantastic.
I'm running Subfill silently behind us, which is the other extreme. It looks like AI's done every single frame, and it's got an odd sort of effect. It's like when I see AI paintings these days, I tend to know it's AI without, there's so many giveaways. But, I just wonder, I mean, this film is very pleasant to look at, It's not machinima per se, or but it's clearly another sort of art form. And the more you see these coming along, becoming the new big thing, I keep worrying, well, is everybody going to be doing this from now on and forgetting about avatars or forgetting about the worlds?
Oops.
I hope not. But
thought.
this.
is this is very different from avatars and virtual worlds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Really?
also my belief. This is the extent of what AI is capable of.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I've got a kind of a different view where the ethics are very questionable.
Yeah.
In
No
some
kidding.
cases, and I'm not really that educated enough on each of the different utilizations of AI to really know what's okay and what's not. I do know that this style of generative AI is built off of image models that are trained on data that they
Yeah.
might not have permission to use.
Hmm.
And because it's going to be hard to verify where the data is coming from, that's being used in a particular model, in a particular website to generate this or that, then I kind of just stay away from it from right now. But that's just my thought is
That's actually my thoughts.
treat it, hold it at arm's length.
Yeah, I mean that's sort of my thoughts too, really. I can't ignore this stuff is happening. Really, we're trying to figure out how it might come into what we do with avatars and virtual things. I think the tutorial thing about enhancing your videos has some
that
justification.
is
Because
absolutely
Yeah,
something
yeah,
definitely.
that is
because that's
awesome.
improving what you've already got. But I
Yes.
keep hearing stories about the people who are training the AIs. The companies, they're hiring people in the third world who can barely speak English to do the training. So you can't even trust the people training the AIs because they're job
I don't
workers
speak English.
who work for, oh, they work for 2 cents an hour or something in some foreign place. And obviously, for the people contracting the training out, that's a bargain.
Are
But
you talking about prompt engineering?
yeah, that's what I mean. Basically, yeah,
Hmm.
it's sort of. I guess they do the prompts, see what happens, and
I'm taking a course in that right now.
very
As a
interesting.
matter of fact, yeah.
Yeah.
So what
Just
that would involve, you create a prompt to create a video, or you'd simply.
they teach you about the things that AI does right and does wrong, what it's strong at, how it hallucinates, how you
Yeah,
can create negative bias with a poorly framed, question or
Yeah,
instruction.
on
Hmm.
alternate metaverse grid, cataplexia teaches a course in that now. Also, the same thing.
Hmm.
They're talking about mid-journey. So, I mean, there's so much out there that
There
is still to
is.
be
There's a lot.
discovered. So
There are,
it's worth keeping an open mind. But certainly, the idea that people just coming along and hoovering up the creativity of
yeah,
people who
there.
have no
It's
idea
too
their stuff is
easy.
being stolen
It's
is
too
pretty
easy,
sad.
and yeah, that is terrible. It's terrible.
All that said, I just want to point out that, and I agree that the
by the way,
copyright
we're
issue
we're
is.
looking at another piece of Jessica's work behind us.
If
Just
you
so you
couldn't
know.
Yeah.
tell.
Ah,
No, I
you were
agree
saying,
that some of the
Marcus?
yeah, that some of the copyright use in some of these models is troublesome. But that said, it is possible, and there are people who put in the effort to make sure that what they generate is their stuff or stuff they have permission with. The problem is that it
Nice.
takes an enormous amount of. You have to have a really, really high-end computer to do that kind of thing. But like the video that Mal had showed of the woman and kind of surreally changing a bit as she moved around. That was done probably by a ton of things. It looks to me like they used it. They didn't try to fine tune, so I would question. I would really wonder.
I
If they had
think.
permission to use everything that they generated.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of human. It's not like somebody just went up to an AI and said, "Hey, make this video," and I want it to do this.
Yeah,
That's not how it works. So there is some human intervention involved.
and and
There's
it's
these things called control nets where you actually feed it, poses, and then that's how it knows how to move the figure. If you want to do an art style that you created, you can do that. There's software out there that you can train to override a model so that it will only show a style that you created or was created by somebody who you have permission from. It just like I said, it just takes an extra effort and it takes a
I
high-end
was
hardware to do it.
Mhm.
At the OSCC, I was interviewing Tish Shoot, an old sparring partner there, really, and she was talking a lot about this to me, not on the actual talk. And she got me to download one AI piece of software that basically is like a chat DP or something, but it works solely on my own computer. It never contacts the net, right? So it learns only from what I do. So it's I haven't used it enough to be, raving about it, but the idea is that it can do, I can give it as many prompts as it needs, but its source material is always my own.
Well, that's good.
So, I don't know where it can do video. It's basically a sort of chat thing, but I can tell it to find, have I got any information on such and such? And if I've got any information on my hard disk, it will find it. Sort of thing.
That's
So
fantastic.
it's doing that sort of thing, but go in a complete private firewall sort of situation. But of course, that limits it too. The most you can do is upgrade the database every so often, and you go online
So,
to
so as
download.
we're running to the out of time here,
We
but I
are
would really
indeed,
like,
yes.
if Mal allows it, to ask one question to each of you guys. What's your next project? What's the next big thing that you'd like to do or are planning to do? Let's start with Marcus. What do you have coming up?
Oh
What do you have
dear.
coming up, in the next few months?
Yeah, probably the mental health symposium for virtual ability over in Second Life. They usually do. I don't know the exact date. I doubt they have one yet. But it's usually in the spring, so March about. Yeah, and they do a lot of disability rights stuff, and yeah, that's probably what I'll do next.
How about you, Petlove? You got any plans for the virtual? Any filming coming up?
I have 4 or 5 films that I've been wanting to make for quite a while, and so I do have some things in mind, and I'll pick away at them. Yeah,
Will you come back and tell us about them? And
be happy to. Sure.
we would love that. And how about you,
Okay.
Jess? What's coming up for you?
Well, today is a day off for me. Tomorrow I'll be live on 17 Live, at 3 p.m. Eastern. So what is that? 3 noon at noon grid time. But
Oh.
and I'm working on a set building things in Unity, to bring to my show to try and make I want to try by the end of the year to take the 6 hour streaming
Yeah,
and
that's cool.
cut it
Yeah.
down into a 2 hour segment type show for Twitch, like one day a week. And then do the live streaming to develop the content and that kind of stuff. That's what I'm kind of hoping to try and do this year.
Dang
And,
it.
Defining the
and
process.
actually make it to Safari.
I'd actually say,
Ah.
do put links when you're doing these things if you'd like us to come and see them or watch in Discord, so we can
Absolutely.
pop in maybe and take some
And
clips. And see what you're
the
doing.
thing is I'm honestly terrible at promoting myself because I
Yeah, we all
hate to
are.
do that
Isn't
kind of
that
thing.
awful?
Yes, like creative
It's
people
okay.
are usually like that, where it's like why can't my work just literally speak for me?
Yeah.
But
Well,
I'll
That's
try
one of
to.
the nice things about OpenSim, frankly, because you go to Second Life and you quite often meet people, oh, they're braggadocious, "Hey, I've done this, I've done that," and then you actually go and look at what they've done and think,
They have it.
okay.
That's
It's
usually
not
how
as
it
nearly
is.
so much as you make it sound like. And it's always the opposite in OpenSim. People are much more modest and less likely to brag and more likely to have some really good content. So you have to be
Yeah.
a bit of a miner in OpenSim to find out, digging deep to find out what's going on.
Now you asked Petlove what's coming up next. She didn't mention this, so I want to actually. She has a regular series which puts together machinima, actually called Modern Machinima. And
Yeah.
I'm going to play this. It's a half-hour thing, but I'm going to. There we are. That's the title sequence. So this is on YouTube. That's the latest episode, which is actually it does feature OSCC, I think, and the one before is a tribute to Nicola.
Nicole, yeah, Nicole X Moonwell.
Yeah. So this is great. I mean, you really just pull together bits of stuff you're doing anyway.
I do. People let me
then-
use all of their material, and
Yeah.
and I'm always looking for more. So if you know anybody or you want something shown, feel free to get hold of me.
You are booking me shortly, if I remember. But but the great thing about this too is that Modern Machinima actually goes out on I guess local cable TV, isn't it? So
I've been trying to get hold of Chantel forever, and she just never writes back to me, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Because I think it would be good for her kids, her students to be students. They could get stuff in another outlet. Is what I was thinking.
So this is a plea. This is a plea on YouTube, on the Inworld Review Show. Please, Chantal, get in touch.
Yeah,
We need smoke
I have
signal,
no idea
whatever it
what
may
the
be.
best place to get her is. You can always try Facebook if you're desperate.
Well, and there's Machinima Monday. I mean, she's not hard to
Yeah.
find, you know.
No, yes,
But,
actually, she's in Second Life. She's around more than she ever was, really, with those Machinima Mondays.
Yeah.
And does she do that with Sapphire? I think too. So it's a small world.
Is she doing that with Safia now? She didn't used to, but
I thought.
okay, well that's
Sapphire
cool.
I thought Sapphire was part of the filming of that, but I may be wrong. I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm out of touch.
Like that. Okay, well, lots to explore there anyway. Any final things that any of you three want to mention before we sign off that we haven't got round to? That's
Thank you for having us, Mel.
Right, that's
this
coming
actually
up.
worked
And
so better
Thirza,
than I
thank you.
thought.
It was good.
I was like, oh no, I just live stream really, but it's like, okay, well, it's all right.
Yeah, thank you all
Well,
for being so
any
willing
final
to come on
thoughts
the
from you?
show.
Any
Much
final-
appreciated.
Final thoughts from you, James?
No, I'm doing this
You got-
weird thing in the spring. It's something like Hypergrid International Exposition.
Oh, I
have
know
you
what
heard
you
of that
mean.
thing?
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
people crazy. Don't do it, James.
Don't do it.
Stay away
Okay.
from those people.
If
They
you
are
look at the
totally
middle
crazy.
screen, I'm afraid this graphic's a bit chopped off at the top on mine, although it's probably okay for you, James. There it is, April
Yep.
19th to 21st, 2024, 3-day multi-language summit for OpenSim.
Yep.
That's
Mike should have said I'm going to be chasing James and Marcus around to see if they'll help me set up OBS again so I can stream with them because it's so much fun.
Yeah, it's great.
It is
Yeah,
fun
great.
streaming together.
easy as it goes. Okay, well, the other thing James normally does at this point is make a horrendous noise. So in order to try and avoid that, I'm going to wrap up the show. I'd like to thank all our guests again. Jessica Bixel, thank you,
Yeah,
Jessica.
thanks for having me. This was great.
Thank you, Marcus Llewellyn.
Thank you.
And thank you, Petlove Petshop. That's a good one.
Thank you. Thank you.
And as always, of course, thank you to James Atloud for
Yep.
being both sides of the camera today, sort
Yep.
of thing.
A guest too.
Yeah.
Thank you, James.
Yep.
And thanks as always to our wonderful co-host, Thirza Ember. Thank you, Thirza.
It's been a great show, Mal. It's been a
Yeah.
privilege to be on with these wonderful people.
Indeed, yeah. So, as usual, I'm going to wish you all a very good morning, or a very good afternoon, very good evening, or indeed a good tomorrow, depending on wherever and whenever you are. And we're out of here. See you next week.